Good evening to everyone in television land. It is raining outside, but we have some dedicated folks that are here tonight, and you're dedicated out there watching us as well. You know, this is the Wiley Resource Center Legal Support Program. We're talking about the Illinois sealing bill and just expungement, sealing, and pardons or clemencies in general. As usual, it's a live call-in show, so the number that's at the bottom of your screen, feel free and please do call in. And also remember that we are streaming live on the internet as well. So those folks who are watching live, you can still call in with your questions, your comments, and your concerns. On tonight, we have a special guest that's with us from the Safer Foundation. He is the Director of Policy, and we have Anthony Lowry. So we'll be getting with Anthony in a few moments and talking about some of the work that he does and the Safer Foundation's support of HB 5723, otherwise known as the Illinois Sealing Bill. I am your host for this evening, or hostess for this evening. I'm attorney Melissa Williams, executive director over at the Wiley Resource Center, and a volunteer attorney that helps folks with legal issues. And we have our special project, which is the ESP initiative, or Expungement, Sealing, and Pardon Initiative. And we have our co-host,
Larry Kimbrough, owner operator of State Focus Network and board member of the Wiley Resource Center.
So, as you know, on last week, Larry was out on a break. We had attorney Beth Johnson with us from the Cabrini Green Legal Aid Clinic. And we had a great show last week, and we're sure that we're going to have a great show on this evening as well. So, this week, one of the things that we found out is that on, I guess it was last Thursday or so, they had a press conference over at the newly named George Layton courthouse, which is over at 26 in California. That's the way we know it in the community. And the folks that were in the press conference were our very own Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez and a number of legislators. And apparently they had the expanded deferred prosecution in Cook County. So we kind of looked at an article this week, and we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about deferred prosecution and what that means and how that applies to you. So Larry, what were some of the things that stood out for you in the article?
Well, until you just kind of got me confused about the article, from what I thought I was reading was it was just like another segue for a second chance type thing. What I didn't understand was, if it's just for first-time felons, what about everybody else?
Okay, see, Larry.
I did catch that part.
That's why we look to Larry. You know, he underestimates himself. We look to Larry because he sees things from layman's terms, right? So the deferred prosecution program is exactly like you said. It's on the front end, right? So rather than you even getting involved with the court case, right, instead of you being sentenced even to supervision or to time considered served, it's saying if it was a low level first time offense, they're going to send you through a program on the front end. And it's like a year-long program or so. If you successfully complete that program, you will not have a record at all. So it's not like you're going to even have to expunge anything off of your record. They're not going to have anything on there at all for you. So that is a victory, right? We have further to go, right? Which is why we're advocating for the sealing bill. But that is a victory for folks out there to know that if you have a son or if you have a daughter, because we've actually witnessed this, we've seen someone that has started the program, an 18-year-old that got caught up with a retail theft. I think it was at one of the department stores. And instead of her having to be sentenced or anything like that, she was actually offered the deferred prosecution program. So she's in that program right now. Now, it sounds like a couple of hundred people have successfully completed the program already. And there are a few other hundred that are in the program in Cook County. But this is being expanded to be used statewide. So for folks that may be viewing in other parts of the state of Illinois, this is also an option for them there.
Okay.
And then what we say is, one of the public defenders, Vicki Rogers, she always says you need to know what to ask for, right? So when you're working with your attorney or your public defender, that's one of the things that you should ask for. If no one mentions it to you, then you need to throw it out there. Do you think that this is something that would fall under the deferred prosecution program, right? So this may be something that you may want to ask about. So Larry, was there any other piece of the article that you wanted to make sure that the viewers knew about?
Well, from the article, I believe she was stating that they had a high percentage rate of completion.
Absolutely.
I really wanted it didn't really explain like the actual process, what type of program it was, what kind of structure. That was more or less what I was looking for. Besides the obvious part, what I just mentioned, it kind of left out people that are already in that situation. So it'd be nice to be able to say if they can go back and get some of those people and say, let's put you through this program, even if it's not your first offense. But again, it's still a victory for us. We still have a long way to go. It took us a long time to get to this point, but we can keep going. So.
And you know but that's a valid question, though. You know, what about the other folks that are out there? And that's where bills like the ceiling bill, currently 5723 House bill, that's where these bills come in at. And that's where our argument is being made, right? Not argument in a negative sense, but just the point that we're trying to make. You know, these folks, you're giving them another chance up front. So what about these folks on the back end that have successfully completed their sentence, and it's been at least 4 years from the time that they did so? Allow them now another chance as well. And the other thing, and we'll talk more about this with Tony from the Safer Foundation, but the other thing is the way that House Bill 5723 is crafted. All of the offenses that are listed under that bill are the exact same offenses that are in the deferred prosecution program, with the exception of one. And the reason that we're fighting so hard for that class 2 felony drug offense is because we know that from our communities, from the 90s especially, and from 2000 forward, there have been a lot of folks that have gotten caught up with selling drugs, right? But they have changed their lives. So we're saying, let these folks get back out here, let them work, let them eat, let them get housing, let them go to school, let them be able to take advantage of programs that are out there for them. We're saying give them another chance as well. So Larry, that's where it's kind of an extension on the back end of deferred prosecution. No, we can't go back and we can't get those folks, but they have completed their sentences, and it's now time to let them get on with their lives.
Right. It is a good first step that we are making. I guess you can say, just like from the teacher strikes, that you see populations getting together and trying to work for something. So I hope this is another signal for all the ex-offenders in the state of Illinois, which is about 4 million people, I believe.
It's about 3.5 million 3.5. Is the number that we got from Attorney Belcourt.
Okay, 3.5. If 3.5 million people stuck together and tried to fight for this, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good chance.
And you know, it wouldn't be 3.5 million by yourselves, because you've got family, friends, neighbors, advocates that are there for you that will be fighting with you. So we're talking millions of people, you know, but we do have, and you raise a good point, we do have to say something, right? We can't just afford to sit back and say, oh, let the Safer Foundation fight for that. Or let Cabrini Green fight for that. Let the Wiley Resource Center fight for that. No, this is your battle. Representative Ford has clearly told us, as soon as we can show that we have enough votes in the House, which in the House would be 60, right? As soon as we can show that we have at least 60 of the representatives behind us, the bill will be called. And our goal is to have that done in veto session, right? That's coming up at the end of November, beginning of December. So we've got to be ready to move. So right now we've got to be contacting state representatives, but also contacting state senators, getting them lined up, putting them on notice, right? And it is your right. It is your right to speak out, to call these folks and email them, go knock on the doors at their offices and say, hey, you know, this bill is really important for me and for my family and for my community. right? We say we want to reduce the violence.
Right.
Well, if we want to reduce the violence, let's give people options to get back to work, right? One last thing that I noticed in the article was the discussion about the amount of money that is being reduced in spending because you have this program, right? A lot of people say, oh, you know, we don't just want to have felons out here on our streets. Well, ladies and gentlemen, ex-felons are out here on our streets, right? And the bottom line is, if we let them get back to work, if we let them get housing, if we let them go to school and become contributing members of society as far as tax dollars, that will help us as well. And these programs actually save the state money, right? So passing deferred prosecution, sealing, when we're not having to put people in prisons and jails, that is actually saving the state money.
That's a big issue for everybody. Saving some money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Mr. Kimbrough, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up to us?
No, at this point I didn't. I just want to make sure that everybody is familiar, not familiar, but is ready to vote. Get out there and vote. No matter who you vote for, be educated about who you're voting for. Know who your judges are. Not just the presidential race. You know who your local judges are. They are very important, just like Obama and Romney that are running. I'm not going to try to tell you which one to vote for. But I'm just saying, know who you want to vote for. Be educated about them. Know what their past history was. You don't want to vote for somebody that seems to vote one way or the other. You want to know who you're voting for. Be educated and just, stand up, speak out.
And now, and you're absolutely right, because now is the time to vote for those state representatives and those state senators. If it's something that you're looking for in your community, that your community needs, now is the time to speak up and ask for it and ask them where they stand on it. So that way you can let them know whether you're going to be able to vote for them or not, based off of if they're going to be able to vote for you and your community or not.
Right.
Sounds like we have a caller. So let's get our caller on. Good evening, caller. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, how you doing?
All right.
Hey, first of all, I want to thank y'all for bringing to light this selling situation. Me and my wife, we are going through this right now. She went down to police station, paid a little fee to get all the records. Right. And the next process was that she go to, I think it was the Daly Center, and to another process, and to get it waived, they took care of that. Now they sent her to the county, where she had to go to the administrative office, 26 in California, for a process in which they told her today that it would be 3 or 4 days before she'll find out anything, whether it be sealed, right? Now my thing is, okay, now I've heard situations because, do your stuff really be sealed? Because I've seen situations where certain businesses, whether it be jobs and stuff, they actually knew about your record, but some people had these records sealed. And I got one more question. Now, I just got off the road July the 19th.
Okay.
When should I start, when can I start my process of sealing?
Okay.
I don't know if y'all understood all that.
Yep, we got you. We got you.
She be listening.
Y'all do a good job.
We got you. So let's do this. Let's answer both of your questions. Now, your wife, she actually is going to have to go through the steps of the process. The good thing about the folks from Cabrini Green Legal Aid, right? Attorney Beth Johnson was with us last week from Cabrini Green, and we've also been trained by Cabrini Green, is that these are volunteer attorneys, so you haven't had to pay for the service, but they've been trained in expungement, sealing, and pardons, period. Right? So when they're filling out your paperwork for you, they're not just playing around and telling you, oh, everything on your record can be sealed. We're actually looking at the record piece by piece and applying the law to that record to let you know what it is that you should be applying for sealing on. So what it sounds like, she's got a rap sheet. She's been down to the Daly Center. Sounds like she's been to the Cabrini Green help desk. The attorneys have filled out her paperwork. Sounds like she's filed her paperwork. The next step is going to be going, if you're in Cook County, before the judge at 26 in California, because that judge is going to make a decision about your petition. Right? Now, remember, this is an automatic process, right? The state's attorney, the state police, local police, they're all weighing in on whether someone should be able to get their record sealed. But if your wife has gone and had the attorneys to review the record, and she has some things that she's really doing, you know, in life, regardless of what her past was, if she's really doing some things, the judge is going to want to hear about that. And 9 times out of 10, unless there was some type of mistake, which I highly doubt, she's going to be able to get that record sealed. We had a gentleman that came to visit with us on this past Saturday who shared with us that the petitions that we helped him to fill out his paperwork on, he got his record sealed. Okay. So it is a reality. Now, the second part of your question about yourself, right? You've got to finish the parole. Once the parole is finished, you want to wait 4 years from that time period, right? Then you're going to grab your rap sheet. Same thing your wife did. You're going to come down to Daily or come down to Wiley or some of the programs that do this and have the attorneys to evaluate your record and let you know what it is that you're eligible to do, right? What's on your record that can be sealed, or if you're going to have to get a clemency or a pardon. Okay, so this is the real deal, you all. This is happening for people all day, every day. It's the real deal. Okay, so what we want to do...
I think you got one more caller.
We have one more caller. Let's get that caller in quick.
2 more callers, okay.
Hi, caller. You're on the air.
Good evening, Melissa and Larry. This is Rebecca calling. Just wanted to say a little bit about the voting aspect on the local level and, of course, with the upcoming presidential election, how that impacts the ceiling bill. Just saying how important. I know a lot of people out there are saying they don't vote, or some people only vote for the president. But as we're all talking about, it's very important.
Ramel, I don't want to interrupt you, but we need you to turn your TV down just a little bit.
My TV?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm on my cell.
Okay, we can hear you a little bit better.
Is this better?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to. Did I say thank you all for doing this every week? But thank you all for doing this every week. And just want to make sure that people understand that it is important that they do hold their elected officials accountable. And like Larry was talking about with the judges and all of those things, everyone has to stand before a judge at one point or another. And if we want to attack a lot of the issues that are in our community, we really need to be involved in the political process, because we can't address the mass incarceration and, you know, this Illinois ceiling bill if we're not a part of the political process. So it's just really very important that we are involved in that, and that's how we make the changes that we want to see in regards to the ceiling bill, because even though you may feel that you're not participating in criminal activity, we know that being black in America, you can get pulled over for anything, and now you have a record. And then what?
Absolutely.
So it's really important to go ahead and get involved and share this with your family, your friends, have everyone across the state of Illinois really, you know, getting their legislators engaged in this, and especially those individuals who are ex-felons, you know, get involved. There are, you know, hundreds of thousands of them probably in the state of Illinois, and it's very important that they understand the power that they hold and how they can hold elected officials accountable. And I just really want to see people get involved in every way that they can and know that this is beyond Obama and Mitt Romney, President Obama and Mitt Romney. This is about your local elections, your judges, all of these individuals who impact your life on a day-to-day basis. And
absolutely. 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 And, you know, we want to thank Ramel for calling in and stating that as well. You do want to make sure that you get out and vote, and ex-offenders can vote in Illinois. We have an event that's coming up. It's going to be on Wednesday, September the 26th. We actually will be at United for Better Living. That's 4540 West Washington. We're going to be talking about the rights and resources for ex-offenders. So your housing rights, your employment rights, job opportunities. That's something that we're going to be talking about on next Wednesday, September the 26th. Now, I'm going to be quiet because I have a man in the studio who I happen to respect very much, who has been stomping in our communities for these issues for a long time. So I'm going to shut up and allow him to introduce himself.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I'm Tony Lowry, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Safer Foundation. Safer Foundation is a 40-year-old organization that provides job training, job placement, educational services exclusively for people with criminal records. We see over 10,000 people a year. Last year, we provided initial job starts for over 4,000 people. My responsibility at the organization is policy and advocacy. And as Melissa had talked about, we're in a critical situation here in the city of Chicago regarding criminal records. The debilitating impact of criminal records on the lives of African Americans in the city of Chicago is at a crisis state. Estimations over 3.5 million people with criminal records in the state of Illinois, but we have communities in the city of Chicago with upwards of 70% of men who have felony convictions and arrest records. Part of the work we do is try to look at legislation or administrative relief for the criminal record. We know that the criminal record has lifelong impacts. We're talking about the ceiling bill now, and I always like to commend Melissa first for having this format to try and educate our population, because when state budget cuts happen, the population that least advocates for itself is the population that hits the first cuts. We've heard a lot of stuff regarding budget cuts for reentry programming, mental health impacts, and these are the two populations that are least likely to advocate for themselves. So that's where the budget cuts or the scalpel or the knife or the hacksaw hits first. Ceiling bill is critical for having the opportunity to work, and when I'm in Springfield trying to talk to legislators to get this type of legislation passed, I ask a simple question. Are our people never supposed to work again? People call me from around the country who are 10, 15 years removed from any criminal activity with master's degrees, still cannot get a job. I had, I think, one of the most impactful calls a couple of weeks ago, where a person who just received their doctoral degree was looking for employment in the state of North Carolina, had a criminal conviction here in Illinois, went to North Carolina to get into a doctoral program. When he got into the program, he didn't state that he had a felony conviction. Now the university wanted to hire him. Oh, wow. So he was full of anxiety as to, do I check the box? Can my record be sealed? And his record could not be sealed. And these are the impacts, the lifelong impacts, that I think the criminal record blatantly discriminates, the new Jim Crow and all of the above for people with criminal records. Big part of it is people need to understand what's at stake, get involved. Advocacy is the first step in changing your conditions and circumstances. You have to advocate for wrongs. You have to understand, you have to be educated. Ceiling bill is critical because we need people across the state. In northern Cook County, we have most of the legislators who understand the issue. But in Macon County and other counties throughout the state, we need people to step up and convince those legislators, because when you're in Springfield, legislators listen to constituents. You also have the backdrop of prisons closing. So the Illinois General Assembly is a mostly pro-law enforcement legislative body, where you have people who are former state's attorneys, police chiefs in their individual counties coming to Springfield. So no one wants to be seen as being soft on crime. That brings a big challenge with trying to get legislation such as the ceiling bill passed to bring relief to millions of people in the state of Illinois. But again, Representative Ford has been the staunchest supporter that we've had. I think he's taken the torch from Representative Connie Howard as far as really championing our issues. Being a person with a criminal record myself who had to fight through the discrimination for jobs, having been a person who worked with then State Senator Barack Obama on legislation, on speaking campaigns regarding healthcare disparities, regarding criminal justice issues, and then turning around with, after 20 years of experience, education, and all of that, and being denied a job opportunity at $20,000, $30,000 less than I was making in the previous job. And that's the impact of a criminal record. It supersedes educational accomplishment. It supersedes work experience. And this is why we have to get together as a community and advocate as people with criminal records to right these wrongs and support common sense legislation that's good for public safety and is fiscally responsible for people in the state of Illinois.
All right. All right. I'm telling you, this man right here, he knows his business. We know that we have a couple of callers. We're running out of time. So what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to give you some information about a Save the Date. Tony, can you tell us about this event?
Yeah, listen. This is our annual policy conference. Our CARE Council, Council of Advisors to Reduce Recidivism Through Employment, October 15th at UIC Student Center East, 10 o'clock a.m. to 1:30. We have legislators there. Representative Ford will be there talking about the ceiling bill. We'll be talking about other early release bills, ban the box, and other things like that. So very important to interface with legislators and find out how that advocacy process begins.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you check out the CARE conference. You want to make sure you do that. And then for the callers that we have on the line, because we really are running out of time, we want you to give a call over to Miss Val. Please, please, please do it tonight. Even if you get the voicemail, please call over to Miss Val, leave your question on the line, and Miss Val and I will give you a call back tomorrow. Right? We will be talking with you tomorrow because we do want to answer your questions. So please make sure that you give a call over to Miss Val at 773-960-9269. If you need to talk to Tony, leave that on your message as well, and we will get you in contact with Tony also. So it has been wonderful being with you all on tonight. We wish that we could have gotten some more callers in, but please make sure that you do call over to Miss Val because we're running out of time. Next week, we will have the Prison Review Board representative here, and they'll be talking about clemencies and pardons. Next week is our last show. So please make sure that you tune in 7 p.m. next Monday night, and we will have questions and answers on that night for the Prison Review Board. Remember, they do clemencies and pardons. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you for tuning in. And if we couldn't get your question tonight, please do call Miss Val. Thank you. Good night.